Hey everyone, Nick here. I'm back, and I just finished recording the end of the Hatchet, but I figured I might as well read all the way through the final pages because there's some material here. I know many people come to my channel because they're like doing book reports and stuff, right? Like some people are reading The Indian in the Cupboard or the 21 Balloons or something like that for school. And Hatchet is a classic book to read for like a school requirement. So why don't I just make this content available for you? Because you don't have the book. That's why you came here, right? You want someone to read it to you. So let me read you some of the discussion points, the discussion topics, and the pre-reading activity section here at the very end. And also, even if you don't have a school assignment, as I said in the previous video, it's kind of cool maybe to think about these things. You could pause the video and discuss, or just think yourself, right? Why not? Let's give it a shot. So, by the way, this summary, let's give credit, was prepared by Pat Scales, retired school librarian and independent consultant in Greenville, South Carolina. So thanks, Pat, for summarizing what I'm about to read here. Hatchet by Gary Paulsen. About the book, here's a summary. 13-year-old Brian Robeson is en route to spending the summer with his father when the pilot of the single-engine plane in which he is flying has a heart attack. The plane crashes in a lake in the Canadian wilderness, leaving Brian alone in the woods with nothing but the clothes on his back and a hatchet that his mother had given him. During the 54 days that Brian lives in the wilderness, he learns to read nature. A great way to put it. Conquer his fears and rely on his own ingenuity and deal with the haunting secret that caused his parents' recent divorce. He comes of age in the woods, but in ways he never expected. He is no longer angry at his parents, and he realizes that self-pity has no positive effect on life. He is a survivor, and that is what makes him a man. Pretty decent summary right there of the sentiments and the gist of the book. Pre-reading activity. Hatchet is about survival. Ask students to name one thing they think belongs in a survival kit. Make a list of all the suggestions and engage the class in a discussion about why these things are important. Tell the students that only 10 items can fit into a survival kit. Have them debate the 10 most essential items. That would be fun, you know? Go do it. Let me know. What would be in your 10? Discussion topics. Brian Robeson is haunted by the secret about his mother. Discuss why he hasn't told his father about his mother's affair. Why does keeping the secret make him feel guilty? Explain Brian's feelings towards his mother at the beginning of the novel when she takes him to the airport. Remember, he was kind of sullen, resentful of what he had seen her doing with another man and stuff like that, kind of blaming her a little bit, perhaps, for the divorce. How is this indifference towards her related to the secret? Why is the secret, it's always it's in quotes, that's why I'm doing it, less important to Brian by the end of the novel? I think he has some perspective on what really matters in life, I would think. Realizes just how, I'm not saying you put this in any report or whatever, but I think Brian just realizes how painful, clumsy, and difficult it is to forge a life for oneself when you truly have to rely on your own, as many parents basically have to do, at least in the world of parenting and relationships, you know, forging their own relationships, their own path as a parent. When Brian's mother makes reference to his father, Brian reacts by thinking, not my father, my dad. How might Brian explain the difference between a dad and a father? Why is the difference so important to him? Yeah, I mean, father's obviously more formal, a little bit more distant and stuff like that. Dad, much more familiar, more intimate. Discuss how Brian uses information that he's learned from movies and specials on public television to understand the animals in the wild. How does this knowledge contribute to his survival? What does Brian mean when he says that his knowledge is tough hope? Yeah. Immediately following the crash, Brian has hope that someone will rescue him by late night. At what point does he begin to give up hope that he will be found? There are times when Brian suffers from great despair. How does he deal with these dark moments? I think he gives up hope when things get bad or, you know, things don't go the way that he wants. That's common for all of us, right? Or at least you've threatened to give up hope. Brian once had an English teacher who encouraged his students to get motivated. He told them, "You are your most valuable asset. Don't forget that. You are the best thing you have." How does this message give Brian courage when he is alone in the wilderness? Describe how Brian learns to depend on his own ingenuity. In spite of Brian's bad luck, he does feel that he has some good luck. Describe his first good luck moment. What is his ultimate good luck? Discuss how Brian's experiences in the wild might change the way he deals with bad luck in the future. What do you think they're getting at there? So what was some of his first good luck moments? Not crashing the plane, he had good luck the fact that the pilot even let him fly the plane for a moment, so he even had a rudimentary knowledge of how to crash it effectively. He had good luck that right before he crashed, the trees had been parted by a previous storm, so there was like a lane or an alley for him to go down towards the lake in the final moment there. He had good luck that the hatchet, he had kept it on his belt and not taken it off or something like that, or that hadn't fallen out. He had good luck he found the berries. He had good luck that the bear wasn't mad at him when he stumbled upon it. I mean, lots of things like that, right? Good luck stumbling across those snapping turtle eggs. And I think what they're talking about, the ultimate good luck, what his ultimate good luck was, if you have enough perspective and you can look at it, is he was lucky that maybe he even went through that whole experience. I mean, what can you put a price on being able to appreciate life and some of the most basic aspects of it, like the food we eat every day? That you appreciate it that much more, and that you're that much more present in life, experiencing life. This moment, this life is all we have. So is it not with enough perspective here? It was rough to go through, but now those moments were sometimes challenging and difficult, but now his present moments, he's so much more aware and so much more grateful, I think, and so much more thoughtful about them. I think that's almost priceless, what he's experienced. A lot of people actually pay money to go on vacation, survival, outdoorsy experiences like this, or even just adrenaline-inducing, danger-inducing experiences to simply get a taste of what Brian was subjected to at the time, but ultimately, I think, changed his life for the better. Brian is at times overcome with fear. Discuss how fear is both helpful and harmful to Brian. How does he learn to deal with fear? At what point does he learn not to fear the animals, but to share the woods with them? I think as soon as he started to be able to get food from them and to also see the animals weren't ultimately after him, per se, and he was just a piece of what was going on. But, let's continue. Explain the following statement. The two things, his mind and body, had come together, had made a connection with each other that he didn't quite understand. How does this connection play a role in his survival? Discuss how this connection might guide him throughout life. Well, I think by Brian being placed in this kind of survival situation of which he's not familiar with anything, he suddenly realizes that small decisions day by day could lead to major outcomes, him getting injured and dying or not having enough food or things like that. So it basically made him not have to spend, so many of us don't have to worry about these things. So our brain is sort of free to wander, to fantasize, to ruminate and to turn over and over thoughts and grievances. Self-pity is talked about a lot in the book. So Brian doesn't really have time or doesn't see really the value in just daydreaming. Daydreaming about what? He can't go anywhere. He's got to deal with what's happening right now, what's going on around him. And also, he's on a regular point of danger and / opportunity. He's looking out for food, looking out for dangers all the time. So he doesn't really have a lot of time, per se, to just be away and disconnected from his mind the way that all of us with our security and our comfort and movies to watch and things to think about and things to plan and coordinate and worry about and all these things. There's so much more that our brain can just go ahead and ruminate and think about and turn over in our heads. So I think that really helped. That's all I'm saying, is him being in real time in that environment got him really much more connected with the now, what's going on within me, around me. Brian's alone in the Canadian wilderness for 54 days. After 4 days in the woods, Brian feels that he had died and been born as the new Brian. Think about Brian's return. Describe the new Brian from the point of view of himself, his mother, his father, and his friends. If they had seen this new Brian, what would they have to say about him? Versus with the old Brian they might have known. Next point, second to last point. Brian keeps a mental journal of his experiences so that he might share them with his father. Remember, it was like first first meet day and stuff like that. What are the mistakes that he records in his mental journal? Describe his best memories. Well, I just talked about, those first days, first meet and stuff like that. Some of the worst days being hit by that moose and the tornado in the same day. But again, and that was another example of bad luck, back to an earlier question, but also the good luck. It revealed the tail of the plane and ultimately got him free, discovered the survival pack. After the tornado exposes the tail of the sunken plane, Brian dives into the water and retrieves the survival kit that the pilot carried. He finds food, matches, and other things that make his survival easier. There's also a rifle. How does the rifle change Brian? Why doesn't he like the change? And I had talked about that a little bit aside as we were reading through that. I think it's something that we all have to be conscious of as humans. Because we have these tools, super powerful tools, rifle, for instance, lighters and stuff like that, it changes. He already said it in the book. He doesn't have to think about, he doesn't have to connect with the things in nature that otherwise he would have to in order to hunt for food, defend himself. So the weapons and tools and learning how to read animals and to get up close to them. And also learning to light a fire and to work with nature in that regard. He wouldn't have to do that if he had a lighter and stuff. So the rifle disconnects him and creates this sort of mental block. I don't have to worry about those things the way I absolutely had to for my survival prior to knowing that I had a rifle to fall back on, right? All right, culminating thoughts. It's just the last little page here. Among the virtues that Brian acquires during his 54 days alone in the Canadian wilderness are willpower, patience, hope, courage, and trust in his instincts. Wow, I wouldn't mind having those just in spades all the time, improving on all those. Willpower, patience, hope, courage, and trust in my own instincts. That's a good list. How might these qualities affect Brian for the rest of his life? What other lessons in life does Brian learn from his experience? I mean, I think I need to get out, do a little bit. I need to get some camping in, right? A little bit of hiking, a little wilderness experience, am I right? All right, second to last bullet here. Suppose Brian prepares a survival kit for another trip to the wilderness, knowing what he knows now, and also knowing what he kind of liked and didn't like about what he had at the beginning and then what he had at the end of his experience in terms of the rifle and everything. Based on his experience in the wild, what 10 items might he place in the kit? Remember, that was your pre-reading activity. All right, last bullet here is a writing activity. Write a paper that Brian writes at the beginning of school. So he comes back. Remember, he was rescued at the end of summer, so he goes into the fall. And what does he write at the beginning? What would he write in an essay titled, What I Did on My Summer Vacation? How might you write that as Brian in a summary? Okay, there it is, guys. We made it all the way truly to the end. I hope if you are trying to write a book or something like that, not a book, a paper on the book, that work through the discussion helped you. All right, take care, subscribe. Let's give me some suggestions for another book that you might want to read that'll help you in your schoolwork or your development as a young reader. All right, take care.